The story is about a beautiful girl named Millie who goes to work as a housemaid in a wealthy household. But she doesn't know that the owner appears to be a decent and straightforward man, but behind this decency lies a terrifying face. The man traps this innocent girl in his money trap and does some such things with her, which we will see today through this story. At the beginning of the story, we see a very beautiful girl named Millie who is applying for a job as a housemaid in a very rich house. She goes to the Winchester family home. There, she meets a lady named Nenah, who brings her inside. She finds her place here. She gives her biodata. Nenah says, "You're perfect for this job," and she also tells Millie that she wants to make her entire house a better place. And finally Millie's room, which was a bit oddly designed and located upstairs. Nenah tells her, "If I hire you, if you're hired, you'll have to stay here and do all the household chores. So, I'll think about it and let you know by evening whether I should keep you on or not." No, Millie agrees, gets in her car, and leaves. Here, we learn about Millie, who has no one in this world. She has no home but a car. So, to get some sleep, the poor girl sleeps in this car and takes a shower in a club's washroom. She cleans the house. That's why she desperately needed a job as a housekeeper, which would also provide a place to live. But she didn't know that this job would be hers. This is the most dangerous turning point in life. 2 days later, Millie receives a call from Nenah. Nenah tells Millie, "I've contacted many girls after you, but you're the best of them all. That's why I'm offering you this job. So when are you joining this job?" Hearing this, Millie is overjoyed and says, "I'll come right away. I'll go." A little while later, Millie arrives at Nenah's. They find the house scattered throughout. So, Millie begins cleaning the house. Time passes and evening approaches. Meanwhile, Nenah's husband, Andrew, returns home, and he is the man. He appears decent, but only in appearance. Nenah introduces Millie to Andrew, who is accompanied by his young daughter, Sissy. She introduces him as well. Here we see Andrew, who has been giving Millie strange looks, and Millie notices this. Andrew says, "I brought food from outside today, so Millie doesn't need to cook today. That means you can start cooking tomorrow. After that, all this food will be ready." After dinner, Nenah comes to Millie's room to give her the leftover food and also gives her a phone and says that from today onwards you have to use this phone. Because I have connected my credit card to this phone, because you will have to go out and buy food items as well, so you can pay as much as you want. It will have to be delivered through this phone. Millie is very happy because she is being treated like family, not a servant. Then tomorrow, we see a scene where Millie wakes up from a nap and quickly goes downstairs. But we see Nenah, who is furious and present here. She's breaking things because she's lost her speech. Her husband tries to calm her down, but Nenah, she says, "Millie lost that speech of mine. I had written it with great effort, handwritten." Millie was a little surprised that until yesterday, this girl had been talking to me so nicely. She was doing this. What happened to her suddenly today? Anyway, Millie packs the broken items into a black polythene bag and goes to throw them out. Just then, a man named Enzo appears in front of her. He appears, seemingly trying to tell Millie something, but then he catches sight of Nenah, who is watching him from above. Actually, Enzo works as a gardener here. Seeing Nenah upstairs, Enzo leaves. Millie is then cleaning the house. Meanwhile, she finds a tablet in the bathtub. Nenah arrives and Millie is frightened. Nenah tells her she should be cooking. Millie goes to cook dinner. We then see a night scene where Millie is in her room when Andreo approaches her with a small piece of cake. He says, "Nenah sent this for you." Mom, Millie is overjoyed. But we see Andreo slowly approaching. But then, Millie's eyes open. It turns out it was a dream. But the truth is that Millie is slowly starting to like Andreo. Here we learn that today, it's Saturday. So Millie has a half day today and will soon be discharged. But Nenah tells her, "You won't get any leave, but you'll have to pay Sissy." Then Andreo arrives and says he'll drop Sissy off at college because he's not going to work today, which will save Millie. She feels so good that she gets a half-day leave. Millie then goes to an officer and says, "I got a job and a place to live." We also learned that Millie was in jail for the past few years, and now she is back after serving her 10 years of jail sentence. She has come out. The officer says, as long as you're doing this housemaid job, you're in no danger of anything. But as soon as you quit this job, you'll be thrown back in jail. We then see a night scene where Millie sits on a couch watching television. She was doing this. Meanwhile, Andrew came over and sat down next to her, saying, "This show is my favorite too." The two sat very close to each other and shared some personal memories. Rajas was sharing. Millie said, "Your wife is quite strange." And Andrew replied, "Yes, she's a little crazy. She also tried to kill her daughter by drowning her. As a result, she was kept in a mental asylum for 10 years. But she always takes pills to help. Don't worry. You'll get used to it, just like I did." He adds, "Sissy isn't my own daughter. She's Nenah's." They're both very close. They were chatting when Nenah walked in. It was 2 a.m. and seeing them together, Nenah was taken aback. She becomes suspicious and asks, "What are you two doing here?" Andrew replies, "We're just watching a movie," and leaves. Nenah tells Millie, "Look, you're not doing what I told you to do. So tomorrow morning, pack your things and leave." Hearing this, Millie, she panics and says, "I'm sorry. I'll be more careful in the future." Nenah also says, "Stay away from my husband and stop wearing short clothes." One day, Nenah and Andreo were out on business. Millie was home alone. So, she went into Nenah's room and started checking her belongings. During this, several tablets are found in bottles, all identical. We then see the scene from yesterday. Nenah hands Millie some of her clothes, saying, "These are some of my clothes that I've only worn once, so you can wear them." Millie thanks him and tells him, "I'm sorry. I was very rude to you. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that." And she says, "I have to do something for Andrew that he'll like. So, you book the movie tickets and a hotel so we can spend some quality time alone together." We then see yesterday's scene where Millie had booked 2 tickets for the movie and tells Nenah about it, to which Nenah gets angry and says, "After all, when did I tell you to book movie tickets for us on Saturday? Don't you know? I don't go anywhere on Saturdays." To which Millie replies, "Tomorrow. You told me, and I booked this ticket because of your request." But Nenah angrily says, "I didn't tell you, and you have to pay for this ticket yourself. I'll have to pay it out of my salary." But Millie panics, saying, "Please don't do this to me. These tickets are too expensive. I can't afford them out of my salary." But then Andreo arrives and tells Nenah, "Don't worry. I'll refund these tickets." Nenah then leaves, and Andreo. He apologizes to Millie on Nenah's behalf. The next day, Nenah leaves for a day trip with her daughter, leaving only Andreo and Millie at home. Enrio tells Millie that the ticket hasn't been refunded yet, so you can take a friend and go to the movie. But Millie says, "I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a friend in the world. I'm completely alone." Andrew says, "Oh, well then, come with me to a movie. We'll both enjoy ourselves and have a great evening. We'll be back home before it happens." Millie finds this a bit strange, but she agrees to go with him, and this is where a new story begins. Well, after that, they both set out to watch a movie. After the movie, their rooms were just across from each other. They both went to their respective rooms. After returning to her room, Millie checked her phone. She finds a number of messages from Nenah. She even says, I'm firing you." Seeing this, Yami becomes very frightened and quickly goes to Andrew's room. Andrew says, "Don't worry, I'm here. I'm everything. I will take care of her," and while consoling her, he comes very close to her, and soon both of them start getting into a relationship with each other. Anyway, today they have fun together. After all this, Andreo tells Millie that Nenah shouldn't find out about this. Millie replies, "Don't worry, she won't find out." After this, they both reach their home before Nenah arrives. A short while later, Nenah also arrives, apologizing to Millie. She begs him, saying, "All the messages I sent you were sent while I was drunk. Don't take them seriously." She repeatedly apologizes. After a while, Andrew and Nenah are sitting at the table eating. Just then, Millie brings the food. Nenah, tasting the food, says, "You make really good food. Did you try all this? Did you learn this in prison?" Millie is shocked to hear this, wondering how he knew I'd been in prison. Enrio is also a little surprised to hear this, as he also knows about it. "I didn't know anything." But Nenah says, "What's done is done. That was your past life. We have nothing to do with it." She also gives him the keys to her car. She hands him the keys and tells him to go buy household items from the market. Millie takes the keys and goes to the market to buy the items. There, Millie meets a girl who is actually, I'm a friend of Nenah's. Millie was also holding a phone Nenah had given her. The girl then tells Millie, "Perhaps Nenah gave you this phone." Millie then says, "Yes. Listen, this girl tells me Nenah has trackers on all her phones. That means she knows everything about where you're going." Hearing this, Millie became very frightened and began to think that perhaps he also knew that I had gone to the movies with Andreo and that we had both stayed in the same room. Millie returns to her car with the goods. But then the police arrive and kidnap Millie, claiming the car is stolen. A case is filed, but fortunately, Enrio arrives at the scene and manages to get Millie to justice. He rescues it from Nenah's hands and brings it with him to the car. Millie asks Andrew, "Why is Nenah doing this to me?" Andrew says, "Don't worry. Let's make a decision today." A short while later, they both arrive at home. Just then, Nenah appears. Andrew, filled with anger, says, "What are you doing to this innocent child? Why are you obsessing over this girl? What harm has she done to you?" But Nenah Jo refuses to give up her antics and retaliates. Andrew becomes angry and tells her to get out of his house right now. Take her things, and then Nenah says, "Oh, hello. This is my home too." But Andreo says, "This isn't your home. This is just my home, and you should get out of here now." Hearing this, Nenah storms out of the house. But the truth is something else. Here we learn that Nenah herself actually wants to break up with Andreo. But why? Now you know. It will take some time. Both Andrew and Millie lived in this house. Over time, they spent quality time together. One day, Millie brought a plate of food for Andrew. She was carrying food, but then Enzo suddenly appeared in front of her. Millie's gaze suddenly fell upon him, and she became a little frightened. She leaves, and the plate falls from her hand and breaks. Hearing the sound, Enrio quickly comes over and asks what happened. Millie says, "This man." Suddenly, it appeared in front of me, scaring me. I apologized to Andrew for the broken plate. Andrew replied, "No problem. I have a worker. I'll fix it. I'll get it done. The rest of you just clean it up and put in plastic." A little while later, we see Andreo intently examining the broken pieces of the plate. But Millie comes and hugs him from behind. Andrew then picks up a drink bottle and takes Millie into his room, where they have a drink together. When Millie opens her eyes a little later, she sees that Enrio is gone. Millie goes to open the door, but finds it locked outside. It's closed from the outside. Enrio, who's outside, says to someone, "That plate you broke. You didn't even clean it properly. So, as punishment, you will be locked in this room for 24 hours. With that, he leaves. We then see Nenah, who is quite happy. Here, we are told about Nenah's past life. Nenah is she works at a company owned by Andreo. Andreo meets Nenah there. They start talking, and in the process, they become close. The two develop a strong bond. Nenah even has a daughter before they are married. But Andrew is unfazed by this and marries her within a few weeks. He brings her home. Nenah had no objections, as she had found a rich and handsome man. They live happily together for a few days. One day, Andreo tells Nenah, "You still have some black hair on your head, so you should dye it blonde like the rest of us." Nenah says, "Okay, I'll get them done by this evening." Then we cut back to the next day, where Andrew confronts Nenah about her hair, to which Nenah nonchalantly replies, "I'll get them fixed in a couple of days." Apparently, Nenah doesn't take this seriously. Then Enrio says, "Upstairs in the room. I have some notes. Can you bring them?" Nenah goes to get them, but Andreo follows her and locks the door from the outside. So Nenah thinks Andrew is joking. "Why would he do this to me?" She laughs and asks him to open the door. But Andrew says, I told you to get your hair done, but you didn't listen. This means you've broken a rule in this house, for which you'll be punished." And it's He slips the envelope under the door and says, "You must break off 100 of your golden hairs and put them in this envelope. If even one black hair is found among those 100 hairs, then you have to start all over again." Nenah says, "Look, Andrew, this isn't right. Are you crazy? How can you treat me like this?" But Andreo doesn't answer. He simply says, "I'll come back sometime and give me your 100 golden hairs." He wants it and leaves. Now Nenah had no other option. So she plucked each hair from her head, one by one, and placed it in an envelope and kept it outside. A little while later, Enrio checks the envelope and says, "One of those 100 hairs was black, so you'll have to pluck another 100. Nenah has. There was no other way. So she plucked the hair again and put it in an envelope. After 2 days, Enrio finally opened the door and gave her water to drink. He says, "You did a good job this time. And yes, remember, from now on, if you break any of the rules of this house, you will definitely be punished." After drinking the water, Nenah runs straight to her daughter. But we see her begin to feel dizzy and faint. A moment later, when her eyes open, when she opens the door, she hears the voice of her daughter, who is drowning in the water. Nenah quickly rushes to her side. But the police arrive. Andreo had called them here and informed them that Nenah had gone mad and was trying to escape from her home. She is drowning her daughter to death. As a result, Andreo sends Nenah to a mental asylum for 10 years. Nenah is at a loss as to why Andreo is trying to manipulate her. Why is he doing all this to her? A few days later, Enrio brings Nenah back from the mental asylum. And whenever Nenah, if she made any mistake, Enrio would lock her up in this upstairs room and punish her every time, and he would do this in front of everyone. 14:54 minutes, 54 seconds, it proved that Nenah was crazy, and I was in love with a crazy girl. So, Andreo wanted to show people that my love is true, no matter what kind of girl she is, and by demonstrating this, Andreo always remains a good person in the eyes of others. But Nenah, who is not running away now, she can because Andrew, who is very wealthy, could do anything. But one day, Nenah discovers that Andrew is particularly fond of beautiful women. Andreo has a weakness. Here we also see Enzo, who knew all too well about Andreo's true identity. Before Nenah, Andreo had done this to Enzo's sister, and Enzo fully supports Nenah. Even at times, he even tried to drive Nenah away, but failed every time. But one day, Nenah brought Millie here because Millie's arrival could make Enrio leave me. So Nenah deliberately orchestrated this and lured Millie into Andreo's trap, so I can get out of here myself. We then see a scene from the present, where Millie is locked in a room. Then Enrio approaches her and says, "You've seen that plate? The pieces weren't cleaned properly. There's still food on them. So if you want me to get you out of here, you're going to have to inflict 21 cuts on your body." He gives her a piece of this plate and walks away. In the background, we see Nenah with her daughter. Nenah tells her daughter, "Now we should move away from here and start a new life." But her daughter insists we shouldn't leave Millie in this condition. We need to help her. On the one hand, we see Millie, who somehow manages to inflict 21 wounds on her abdomen with a piece of plate, causing her immense pain and suffering. She faints. In the morning, Andrew opens the door and approaches her, saying, "You've done your job. Now you're free," and he approaches. But then Millie takes the piece of plate she's carrying and hits him in the neck, and somehow manages to escape and run out the door. She closes the door. Enrio is now locked in the room. Millie hadn't been out for 3 days, and she was feeling very hungry. She starts stuffing the food into her mouth. A little while later, Millie gathers the plates in the house and goes upstairs to Andrew, telling him this, and starts breaking glasses. Andrew says, "Please, Millie, don't do this." Millie says, "If you want to get out of here, you have to do one thing." Andrew says, "Tell me, what should I do?" Millie slips a plate under the door and says, "You have to break one of your teeth and give it to me." At first, Enrio refuses, but then Millie arrives. She pours gasoline on the car and threatens, "If you don't do this, I'll set your house on fire." So, terrified, Enrio reveals his life and pain. While fighting, he somehow breaks one of his teeth and gives it to Millie. It was nighttime. Meanwhile, we see Nenah return to the house to pick up Millie. Nenah thinks Andrew must have locked Millie in this room, so she goes straight to the room and tries to open it. But then Millie comes up from behind and asks, "What are you doing?" But before she knew it, the door was open and Andrew came out. That's why Nenah had come, so that she can save Millie from Andrew. But now everything has turned upside down, and thanks to Nenah, Andrew is free. Gone. Andreo grabs Nenah, throws her aside with a powerful shove, and chases after Millie. But let's see. He finds Millie nowhere to be seen. It means she ran away. So Andrew returns to his house. Andrew tells Nenah, "I'm quite happy with you. I love you more. Do you know that life was difficult for me when you weren't here?" Nenah says, "I just hate you. You're mean, and you're a vile man who would ruin any girl's life for his own pleasure." Hearing this, Andrew becomes enraged and tries to hit Nenah. But Nenah, suddenly, she moves aside, and then Millie comes from behind and pushes Andrew, causing Andrew to fall straight down from a great height. He falls and dies. Then Nenah throws a light bulb from above to Andreo and says, "Everyone will assume that Enrio was trying to fix the bulb, but he slipped and fell to his death." Shortly after, the police arrive and question Nenah. Nenah tells him that he slipped while changing a light bulb and fell to his death. The case is closed and Andreo is cremated. Then Nenah immediately finds a large. She gives him a check and says, "Now you should go away from this city and start a new life and also apologizes to him for defending myself. I put you through this trouble for this, and now this story ends with this. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this story. You must have liked it. If you did, please like the video. You must have already subscribed to the channel. Let us know what else you think in the comments. What happened to Andreo was right or wrong. See you in another video. Until then, bye-bye.